This is genuinely crazy for the Toronto Raptors, as the team has been linked once again to another star player across the NBA. We know Masai Ujiri is not afraid to take a big swing, but this would have serious implications on the Raptors' future. But this also could have some sneaky implications, this whole De'Aaron Fox saga, in other aspects, rather than the Raptors just landing De'Aaron Fox, specifically involving former Toronto Raptor DeMar DeRozan, which we'll discuss out here in this video. So we'll break down the actual realistic possibility, whether or not it's possible the Raptors can go out and acquire De'Aaron Fox, whether or not it would make sense, but more importantly, what this really means for the Toronto Raptors heading into this year's trade deadline. Because Masai Ujiri is playing some 4D chess, doing some different things out here, going after all of these star players, at least in the reports, publicly posturing like he is. So lots of stuff to break down. But guys, again, you guys know the drill. If you are a part of the 67% of our viewers that haven't hit the subscribe button just yet, I know a lot of people are tuning in. They're tuning into these vids. We're dropping multiple vids a day, trying to keep you up to date with all of the latest buzz around this Toronto Raptors team. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you don't want to miss a single thing. So let's dive into it, because frankly, this report is absolutely absurd. And the realness of the Raptors landing Fox still seems like a pipe dream, but it does have serious implications. So we'll discuss what's happening. Essentially, sources said other teams to inquire about Fox's availability in Sacramento include the Minnesota Timberwolves as well as the Toronto Raptors. A path possibly landing Fox would be extremely difficult for the Timberwolves and is unlikely, since they'd have to move Julius Randle and Jaden McDaniels to get out of the second apron. McDaniels does have a lot of fans in the Kings front office, sources said. So again, that's focused mostly on the Timberwolves, but the Raptors being named, just named, given the current state of our franchise, given the current state of this team, is pretty jarring. It's pretty shocking, and frankly, if we do get Fox, because there is a world, and I'll take a look at a hypothetical scenario where a trade that kind of makes sense could go down, but it depends on how players are valued, but it'd be crazy. It'd be crazy for the Raptors to do this, given our current position, giving up certain assets to try to make one of these moves happen. Again, De'Aaron Fox is a phenomenal basketball player. This is not me saying I don't want De'Aaron Fox on the team. He's averaging 25 points per game, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and is only 27 years old. So fits timeline-wise, fits just being a all-star caliber player. Like, De'Aaron Fox is sick. I don't want to, sound like I'm dismissing this as something the Raptors shouldn't do. Just realistically, I don't think it's a path that the Raptors are actually going to end up going down, because again, we can look at a trade, and I was kind of shocked that the Raptors could put together a pretty competitive package given everything we've seen out there for the Sacramento Kings being offered. But of course, it depends on how you value Immanuel Quickley. So essentially, the Raptors would acquire De'Aaron Fox, and then on top of it, take on the bad contract of Kevin Huerter. He is not an asset right now. Just taking a look at his stats, he has been bad this season. 8 points per game, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, shooting only 30% from the three-point line and 31% on corner threes. Kevin Huerter is bad. So he's on a multiple year, 16 to $18 million in salary. So you are doing the Kings a favor in terms of getting off their money, getting off of that salary. So, that's a negative thing. Outgoing, the Raptors will be sending Immanuel Quickley to sort of replenish the point guard position for Sacramento. Of course, IQ's dealt with a ton of injuries. His trade value is very low right now, given he's on a big contract, but he's a really good basketball player. I think IQ, you're only making this move if IQ is kind of valued the right way, and even this, you're underselling, because I think IQ can actually be a very, very good player for this team, but I digress. We all know IQ can shoot threes, is projected to be the future of this Raptors point guard position, but of course Fox has more value out there on the open market right now. Then you're trading Chris Boucher's expiring, who could still provide some value out there for the Sacramento Kings, and then Ochai Agbaji, who gives them some much-needed forward depth that can knock down threes, play some defense, and then multiple firsts. So you're giving up the Raptors first next year, which, again, given the state of this season, that could be very, very valuable, as well as the Indiana Pacers first for next year. So it's a significant haul. It's a significant amount of assets the Raptors are able to maintain. Of course, like Scottie Barnes, or even able to maintain Jakob Poeltl, RJ Barrett. Lots of guys out here doing this move, but you're giving up a significant amount of assets to make this happen. And, that's a hypothetical I think would be, that would match the Kings' asking price. Right now, the Kings have been public about what they're kind of looking for. Essentially, reports have come out and said that the Kings, so far in conversations with these teams, they've said they want win-now players and they want draft capital as well. This literally delivers both of those things. So I think the Raptors actually have a decent offer if they want to go through with it, if they want to make it through. Again, how do you value Immanuel Quickley? Some people are saying it's a negative contract. I still think, given its age and the promise he's shown, you'd have some value out there in the open market. The Kings value IQ. This is a deal I think makes sense for the Kings. Now, for the Toronto Raptors, De'Aaron Fox is an impending free agent. Not this offseason, but the following offseason. We'd have to be making sure that this team is going to be good within that time span. So De'Aaron Fox would be willing to resign, willing to come back, especially if we're giving up this amount of assets, this many players out here on this team. And that's interesting. That's a risk you're kind of worth taking. But frankly, I just don't really see this being the avenue, being the direction that Masai Ujiri takes. What likely is happening for Masai Ujiri, and the reason he's inserting himself in these trade conversations, is because, hey, there's vets out here on this squad that right now, if you're a team that's guaranteed to be tanking, it's like, oh, the Raptors going to be desperate, and they're going to try to, sell off of all their guys, so we could just lowball them until, like, the end of the trade deadline. No, you can't do that. You can't do that, and Masai Ujiri feels like he's getting lowballed on everything. He'll just go a different route, and that's why Brandon Ingram's being brought up in discussions. That's why De'Aaron Fox is being brought up in different trade discussions, because this team isn't that bad. Like, we have a lot of good players on this team. There's a avenue, there's a path that the Raptors could go to improve this team out here in the short term. So, Fox is a more unrealistic one, but Brandon Ingram is a very gettable guy at this year's trade deadline. Masai Ujiri knows if the NBA is trying to push him around, make him do a bad contract, do a bad deal, then Masai's just say, hey, we're going to go in a different direction, compete, switch up our plan, switch up our approach. So, having that at least bluff there, whether or not he actually wants to do that or not, it's good to know and it's good to have. So, your team comes out and you can get the best that you can get for your trade assets out there in the open market. But the one thing from this whole De'Aaron Fox trade scenario that I find intriguing is his running mate, DeMar DeRozan, who came out and said, I'm not trying to play another 5 years. I'm trying to maximize the opportunity we have to play with a great team. And he said, this is basically in context of his future with Sacramento, changing things in his podcast, on a podcast with Will Liu, because, of course, De'Aaron Fox is a crucial piece to the Kings being a very competitive franchise, a very competitive team. And DeMar's kind of chatting about the possibility of leaving or having a different approach, in the next couple seasons. And we heard DeMar DeRozan come out and basically say on Open Gym that he wants to retire Toronto Raptor. Now, that was mostly in the context of a one-day contract or something along those lines. But if the Raptors are trying to be sneaky good, they go in that direction. And DeMar, who is right now having a really solid season, averaging 22 points per game, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, is 35 years old, but want to come in and, have a change of scenery. Maybe the Raptors could kind of slide in and try to make something happen. Of course, there's no reports. There's nothing official coming out there on that front regarding the Toronto Raptors' interest in making a move like this for DeMar DeRozan, or DeMar's interest beyond him saying that thing on Open Gym, trying to come back for the Toronto Raptors. So take this, as a hypothetical, something to just keep your eye on now for the next little while. But very, very interesting stuff happening. Wild to see the Toronto Raptors named in a report like this. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. You guys are the best to make this far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.